Try Hulk Hogan or
Well,
Herschel
I mean,
Walker.
greatest in history.
No.
Well, Phil, do you think he could have beaten Ali, Joe Louis?
Joe Louis, no. Ali, no. Not at this point. I'd have to see further development. And as far as what's out there now, Holyfield, Evander Holyfield, the cruiserweight champion, is the only one that could suggest could be a decent fighter.
I take from what we're talking about here that nobody takes seriously his announced retirement. He may believe it, but that we all think we're going to see him fight again. Given that, he blames you guys for putting him where he is, for writing about his personal life, his battles with his manager. Did you guys do this to him?
Oh, mea culpa, mea culpa. I did it. Everybody, I want to confess, I convinced Robin to call NBC 10 days before the fight and blast Bill Caton. I also called Stephanie Givens, her sister, to call Wally. Wally didn't know this. And say, hey, Mike's been beating my sister. It was my fault, and I'm sorry, Mike. I'll never do it again.
Did she really do that? I mean, Wally, did she?
If it was written in Newsday, she did it. And I just want to say that I will take credit for bringing down the heavyweight champion of the world. If nobody else can do it, I'll do it.
What you have here is a case of kill the messenger. Things are happening in his life that he doesn't have the control he wants, and the press is reporting it and following up on it, and this is bothering him.
Does the public out there care about this?
I don't think the public cares all that much about what Robin is after any more than they would care about any gossip about Madonna and Sean Penn. I think the fight public would rather read about who's he fighting and when, and this all I think plays in New York. I'm not sure it plays around the country.
I disagree. I think people are interested in the chaos, the kind of carnival atmosphere, the fact that the Tysons, Robin and Mike, were on the covers of so many magazines, I think is a clear sign of what the public interest is. Also, in Tyson, you have a very private creature, and when he does something, people can start to compute it into just who he is. People are curious. Who is Mike Tyson? What's he like?
As a fight fan and as a professional in the fight business, Wally, do you really care about that stuff?
Absolutely. First of all, I think you need to know these things to make an intelligent choice on who's going to win fights. Now, let's face it, all of us have outside influences that affect us.
Why you pick Spinks?
Thank you for reminding me of that, Mike. Yes, I think the fans do care. If not, why wouldn't the Dempsey-Estelle Taylor marriage be part of boxing lore? People obviously were interested in it back then, and they're interested in it right now.
Is it going to damage him personally?
I think professionally, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen between him and Robin over the years or over the months, but professionally, I think it may hurt in terms of endorsements. I think there may be a lot of commercial companies that won't want, you know, someone like Mike Tyson endorsing their products. I think...
Is he going to become a villain?
I don't think it'll get to that point, but I think people are starting to judge him more than they did earlier in his career.
Yeah, the plain fact is you've got a 22-year-old kid here who is a millionaire many times over, and all he's done lately is complain, and I don't think people are going to like that very much.
Mike, you've called Mike Tyson an ingrate. Why?
It's almost as if, since he's married, the women in his life, wife and mother-in-law, have asked Mike Tyson to forget about where he came from, forget about all the people who helped him, all the people who took him out of the ghetto, who gave him sparring partners when he was 14 years old, who took care of him, nurtured him, made him a contender, built him up, made him a millionaire by the age of 20, made him a champion by that age, and he's just supposed to forget these people.
Thank you very much, Mike Katz, Wally Matthews, and Phil Berger. For those of you who don't read the sports pages or even the front page, the infighting has been vicious on the surface, but below the surface, homicidal. Below the waves of money and fame, tides of turmoil swirl in Atlantic City, starring Mike Tyson, the lovesick groom who was groomed to be a champ. Robin Givens, the beautiful bride who was groomed to be a star. Bill Caton, the old manager whom the bride and groom are trying to elbow aside. Don King, the promoter who feels he owns the heavyweight division. And Ruth Roper, the mother-in-law. You may remember the storybook career of Mike Tyson, the boy king of boxing, as it continued in Tokyo, where he polished off Tony Tubbs while the beaming Robin shared the excitement. But soon after they returned home, Tyson's ailing co-manager and surrogate father, Jim Jacobs, died. The honeymoon was over. Bill Caton, Jacobs' 69-year-old partner, the business whiz behind Team Tyson, was now sole manager. But the new Mrs. Tyson and her mother, Ruth Roper, began to accusingly demand the financial records and access to the champion's millions.
An incident happened and we noticed a discrepancy with Michael's money. If Michael has $50 million and he's supposed to have $70 million, there's a problem.
Caton, put on the defensive despite brilliantly enriching Tyson, lashed out at colorful Don King for trying to work out a separate promotional deal with the fighter, who said,
"Everyone else makes bigger issues than what they really are. You know what I mean? Don King's not my manager. Bill King's my manager. Will always be my manager as long as I'm fighting. Don King's my promoter."
But the heavyweight champion attracted attention to his personal life, the marital problems of the perfect young couple. And they were amplified to a scream by a strange car accident and by King and Gibbons accusing Caton of trying to break up the marriage.
I'll tell you clearly, I'm angry. I could tell you that a person very close to us, he offered him money, $50,000, to help us get a divorce. He said he'd stop at nothing less than our getting a divorce. This is like something out of Dynasty.
But that was followed by revelations made by Robin's sister that Tyson was hitting her. The newlyweds, however, continued to profess their love. Caton remained the villain or scapegoat. Then a full-scale confrontation broke out on the set of a commercial. As hundreds of workers waited hours, Caton was forced to agree to a slightly lesser percentage of his normal deal. Then, in Atlantic City, at ringside of the richest fight in history, which Caton had negotiated, Tyson, as he destroyed Spinks, also served legal papers on his manager. He charged him and his late co-manager Jacobs with fraud. Where in the months leading up to Atlantic City, Caton felt under siege from the bride, the mother-in-law, and the promoter, now he and Jacobs' widow Lorraine put the blame directly on the heavyweight champion, Mike Tyson.
Try to embarrass my family. You try to disgrace us. And as far as I know, this might be my last fight.
Is it final? Stay tuned. I found myself hoping through all the chaos that Mike Tyson could have diffused the tension the way Paul Hogan, Crocodile Dundee, did when he was squiring around his new love. He said, "I'm rich and famous, and she wants me for my money." Don King's main role in this seems to have been like Conrad Dobler's in that beer commercial, agitating both sides. Manager Bill Caton on the one side, Tyson, his wife, and mother-in-law on the other, so that he can pick up the pieces. It's no mystery why he wants to pick up the pieces. Mike Tyson is on the verge of becoming the first 9-figure athlete. He could be worth more, much more, than $100 million someday. More than the most valuable baseball or football franchise. But there's a price to pay that can't be measured in dollars. The battle over Mike Tyson's golden future is shredding connections to his storybook past. To the late Customato, his trainer, teacher, and legal guardian who rescued him from reform school. To the late Jimmy Jacobs, his co-manager and friend who helped finance his development and then steered him to the undisputed championship. To Steve Rott, the loyal aide he lived with for 2 years but fired at the insistence of his wife and mother-in-law. And possibly to trainer Kevin Rooney, whose closeness to Tyson and 10% deal is resented by his new family. And the man who has borne the brunt of the attack, manager Bill Caton, is with us. Bill, Robin Givens and Don King have accused you of trying to bribe a priest of breaking up their marriage with $50,000. Did you?
Of course not. I've been accused by Robin and Don of many things, but nothing as stupid as that. It is absolutely inconceivable that I would consider bribing a priest to break a marriage. The facts are just the opposite. I'm in favor of the marriage. Mike is madly in love with Robin. And the last thing in the world I'd want to see happen is that marriage broken up because it would destroy my